So according to the agenda, where I just modified it, question about how many reviews. I think I asked a couple weeks ago, and it was like 2, but all the docs say 1. So it does seem like it's 1 review, unless, of course, well, depending upon if you look at the newer doc, unless, of course, your working group only has like 2 people, and then it's 0 or something. 3 or fewer people, you need no approvals, and so we need at least 1, but not 2. So if somebody approves it, feel free to merge. I think we are smart folks though, and it's like it depends upon the size and scope of the thing too. It's like, hey, we're changing everything. Maybe at least 2 would be good.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing it already like for more than a year now with 2 approvals. So.
Yeah, most of the, and I think like the 2 was based on like the so I believe at some point in Salsa they were saying something about that, like having two approvals, but then that was clarified, and I think we had a whole discussion in that branch protection thing as well, the other RFC, and I think it was not really practical for a lot of working groups. So that's why they went with 1. But I still think 2 is quite nice when we have a bigger working group, so we have the people, but it's not strictly needed everywhere.
So are the protection rules now that you can merge it after 1 review, or still 2?
That's what the settings are, I think.
Yeah, but we haven't enabled the branch protection
because it breaks everything.
Yeah, we need to do the bot accounts thing, which is a big task. So
oh, I haven't told you that bot stuff doesn't work.
No, you told me.
I told you that it doesn't work.
Yeah, you said that you cannot give it access to a repo that's not
you don't personally own.
Yeah, not owned by the bot account, which is a bit weird because it's all in an org. How does that work with orgs?
It doesn't. It doesn't work at orgs at all. Yeah. All right. Get to PRs, and we will see some things that mostly. Oh, I can just click this. Well, I'm not sure. No, it just opens a new window anyway. There's like 6 of these PRs, which have already been reviewed, so I'm probably just going to click merge, unless anybody has objections. But the version metadata is not wrong, but predates. So a lot of these PRs are about removing this stuff because this messes up scanners like Sept. Well, that's not true. Sept finds a version, but when you give it something like this, it declares the version to be 0.0.0. It basically ignores this, and it uses the other metadata about the timestamp of the commit and makes a version of 000 dash timestamp dot dash gitshaw or something. Whereas if you have main dot version, it very clearly knows that is the version, which works well if you're using git mod, because then you can go get that thing at that version and it all works. Whereas the version that Sept gets if you give it something like this is not something you can go mod download. So in this case, we're actually duplicating it because in the Bosch CLI, the version label is actually used by the command, the version command. Whereas this is just some magical place that doesn't really exist, it seems. Like there's no version variable declared in the main here. But this is the way that Go metadata, if you do a Go version -m on a binary, it will look for this and then say, oh, this is the version of that thing. So this is some sort of canonical place. I'm sure it's documented somewhere, but yeah. Thought about trying to have the command read from there, but it seemed like it was going to be messy.
Wasn't this done because of development releases?
So I think the bin build still has functionality because it's like if you don't specify version label, it uses default version, which is dev build. So it's you can still do dev releases. You just still need some sort of version thing. And all of this data is actually included in the binary anyway. Go now when you build will include the Git revision and the timestamp as part of that metadata, just doesn't call it the version field. So all the data is still there. It's just in a better structured way. All of this, which is everywhere in our code bases, by the way, seems to all be historical stuff before Go mod, before Git revisions were a core part of the version of a Git thing or a Go thing. All right, that was a lot of rambling by me. Any other questions?
There were no questions. You just started rambling.
No, Ramon asked a question.
Oh, yeah.
All right, unclick buttons. The rest of them, that was the more complicated of all of them, I believe. The rest of them are, so what is this? This is BPM, and it's literally just, BPM actually is different because BPM has a -BPM on the run C that it builds, which Sept also angry about. Well, it declares it as part of the version. We looked at the history of this. So we're building run C here. It's built from this exact version of the run C tarball. We do include the libsec conf, so it's like maybe different than the official one in some way, but we also, I don't know. We looked at the history of the version, and at one point they moved it from the front. It used to be in the front, BPM dash, and that turned out to break everything apparently. And the version before that, it was just called BPM. The version was just BPM. It was the BPM version of run C. So this will once again allow scanners to more easily know what version of run C this thing was, as opposed to some odd thing. But I swear, the next four, squash, there's only one commit. All right, yeah, squash it.
Clean up the branches, dude. Clean it up.
Oh,
lead branch.
I missed the button. All right, I'll clean those up later. I got a lot of stuff on my machine checked out to delete. This is all the blob store CLIs, and they have the exact same thing. They collected up this data and then combined it into this version string and then did that. Same exact problem. These four are all identical. All right, button. Delete branch. Let's get those last two back. Aha. Restore branch. Okay, that confuses me. That's an odd button. All right, and these are all the same exact things for the other. They were all copy pasted. So you can all watch me click some buttons for a second.
That is fine. When someone else do the work.
Also, all of the commit messages are a lie. I mean, it will allow that, but really we want to go download them so that we can get the source. All right, issues. Oh, where are we with issues? So last meeting was 21st-ish.
Yeah, this was also what we discussed last week, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's like, right. Many people expect unresponsive agent to solve all of their problems, but it only solves really VM completely dead or network connectivity problems.
Yeah, this was because he was killing Monet, right?
Yeah, but he was only doing that to try to reproduce something, but
yeah,
whatever he's trying to reproduce is likely the VM's still there. It's still heartbeating. So the agent's not going to solve your problem. This is sort of a problem that it would be nice for Bosch to try to solve in some way, or at least make it easier for people to solve. I don't know what people do. Like, really, we've had this request from like Diego a while back, or for Diego, to like, oh, there was a problem mounting the disk, or the disk, something happened to the disk, and like we should have the agent check the disk too and see if it's healthy. And it's like, what is a healthy disk? Like, you're going to end up recreating VMs that aren't actually broken more times than you're going to fix things, or at least some percentage of the time, which is probably bad. It's really hard to tell the health of the system from inside of the system.
The read-only file system, right? That was
it. Yeah. File system went read-only. And it's like, I don't really want the agent to be trying to write files to disk. And if it can't, just recreate the VM.
It's a bit of an, why did it go in that state to begin with? And will recreating it actually fix it?
Yeah.
Feels like a human needs to be involved.
Yeah. And it would be better to probably surface more like metric information, but like there've been like 3 Bosch metric releases over the years, and I don't know which one, if any, actually do anything valuable. It's probably not in a great state, but
I mean,
I don't have any.
And this in particular, I think, is about like resource starvation, right? Like,
which is something that you're never going to solve without breaking half the use cases.
Yeah, and it also feels like it's the responsibility of the process that's spinning up all these, like, so Concourse in this case should do better resource management, right? And kill processes that are going beyond what they are allocated.
Yeah.
Or have limits.
And I mean, some of it's on the operator too. The Concourse gives you tools to, limit the number of active tasks. Each worker can only run X tasks at a time, and the other will pause or scale it more workers. Like, but yeah, it's not Bosch. Bosch is not the right place to solve it.
No, you also get these issues when there is like a really noisy neighbor in one of the IaaS on their cluster or their rack or whatever.
Right. Which is maybe a case where you'd like the resurrector to come in and try to move it somewhere else.
If they're trying to do that, the solid would resurrect it, and it will only like worse. Will make everything worse.
Is there still something open on this one? I thought we can close it.
They haven't responded back. They were there 3 days ago, so probably give them a little more time.
Yeah.
Is this back in my ballpark again or his? I forget. Oh, look, it was me again. Okay, good. Finally, a meeting where I didn't come to saying I should get back to this. Okay, so he hasn't responded back. Presumably he'll get back at some point soon, but it's been just about a week.
Wasn't this like, yeah, we don't want to do this?
Just.
Oh, he's opening
no.
it. Okay.
All right. Which, okay, that's in the CLI. That one's older. My math checks out. Older. This one's container to container networking performance degradation. The stem cell builder. Oh no, this sounds hard.
Yes. And it's also, I believe it was on vSphere without using the NCP plugin.
Oh.
So it's like really not a lot of people are running that setup.
Didn't we recently make a change to vSphere to like change the networking adapter in Jammy?
Well, it seems that this is reopened again because
Yeah, kind of like that.
But he was using a specific plugin, I think.
No, they are not. Here he's saying.
Penny was in Europe for a week and he just got back Tuesday, so I'll alert him that. Wait, why is this September 22nd? The last response was in July. Or am I doing this in the wrong order? No. Well, what activity?
Lies.
Is there anything in the full view? Oh, down here, yeah.
Oh, mentioned.
Oh, it's mentioned. The activity was right.
It was right. It just, that view decided to tell me that there was activity and then hide it.
Yeah. if we want to fix this,
Where's this mentioned?
I think it's a kernel thing that we need to change. Setting, which is by default now disabled, and if they want it enabled, then we need to figure out why it was disabled by default anyways. And I think there was something like they were going to change it back, because if I remember correctly, there were some people mad about it in the Ubuntu community, that they turned it off.
Yeah, I think there was a comment today in the Bosch channel on Slack about this as well.
Or something with disk, I think, in the channel. Looks something different, but
is it a different one?
I'm gonna note that this issue does not mention that issue.
Yeah, in the channel was something with disk resizing.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to move on from that. This one's interesting. So, Behan, you said I couldn't actually find where any of these metrics came from. I just found in the Nginx how the traffic was routed to different things based upon the different endpoints. But you're saying that the data actually comes out of the database?
Now, I mean this collector, which so there are the generic metrics which are provided by Prometheus, and they are for the endpoints. And I was thinking that our workers, they are not accessible via endpoint Bosch Direct API endpoints, correct? So we have metrics for the direct endpoints, and there are some metrics about tasks. So the metrics here is this resurrection enabled, total Bosch tasks in total, and so on, which are actually gathered from the database in the.
Oh yes, yeah. Those ones, that makes sense. There are the API metrics. The API metrics those are just like, there's a bunch of metrics. So I didn't try to hit this with actually a Prometheus client, but I just curled it and it spit out a bunch of like each endpoint. Every API endpoint was listed in the API metrics, and like it had some sort of like data about number of requests or something in there in times. And those are probably wrong, because those aren't stored in the database, and we're using Puma, so there's multiple web processes, and so each one's going to have a separate view of the world. Probably. The director metrics, though, yeah, those ones should be correct. Yeah, I think it queries the database for those.
But the workers, we have one process for the directory itself and multiple workers.
Well, there's multiple processes for the director and multiple workers.
Oh, okay.
Which makes the whole situation terrible. But yeah, like these things come out of the database though, so it's going to be fine. These are all things that we just feed with the database info every X number of seconds.
There's a gem to implement.
This sounds terrible. How does this work? It seems so easy though. Man, it terrifies me that this does not say how it works.
I mean, you just gem install and then add this plugin thing, and then it's done.
Magic. It's up to date. Well, we're removing support at least. Plugin metrics. What on earth?
Yeah, that means we have to look into
Oh, you set max threads to 1. That's also your problems.
Does this actually work? This doesn't look like it has enough code to work.
Maybe we can find some synergies with Copy, the cloud controller. They're also moving to Puma.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Greg's last update. No, they already have Puma support, but in Puma support it's optional and it breaks all the metrics. So they are now gradually trying to fix that problem.
Yes, they want to look into that problem.
It is not an easy problem. You just put a web server in front of your web server and collect the metrics from there.
Is that what they are doing here?
I didn't see anything they were doing here. I didn't see any code that seemed to solve the problem. That was.
I mean, it said max thread to 1.
Did it?
Yes.
But that's not a solution. That's a don't use Puma. Wait, for real? Where was that? That was in. Is that in the plugin you saying that? Oh, it starts a metrics. Oh, it does. It does basically start a metric process and probably puts that in front of everything else. Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
But why not? It's not. Is it doing so much?
I guess
so
it's
much
not
work?
doing any work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just proxying.
It's still got its own global interpreter lock, though. But I don't know. If somebody should do some sort of benchmarking test with and without this. But yeah, I mean, this is basically you have this where you need basically a load balancer in front to gather the metrics, or you need to store the metrics and aggregate the metrics in some sort of data store. Could be disk, could be something more convoluted. But
we can introduce Redis again.
Yeah, that always goes well. Why not use etcd?
I think we need to use both.
I mean, both is when we had etcd and console running at the same time.
They just need to, the one cannot work without the other. So having like an interdependency.
Oh, good news. Neither worked ever. We'll see if they want to come back on that with any more info though. Any other tabs here I'm supposed to look at?
There was the RFC. There's a draft implementation for the RFC regarding PCAP integration.
Oh yes.
Gosh. I don't know what
drafts are filtered out on the PRs. So you have PRs, but you can get rid of that draft thing, and it maybe shows up.
They
it's in there twice. You shouldn't save it because it's you can update your.
Oh, I can just save. Interesting.
Yeah. Oh wow! What?
We got a lot of draft stuff.
No, you should never look at this. It's horrible.
Which one are we looking at here?
PCAP something. I have implement PCAP command. Most probably that one. Yes, this is the one. They asked about feedback here.
They didn't ask anything. They just added my name.
They asked in the RFC. In the RFC, there is a comment.
I see.
129 feels like a lot of changed files. So it's because they added a whole vendor thing. That makes sense. I don't know.
Still had linting errors, but for some reason.
Still work in progress. Why is it a work in progress? I guess is a good question. Like, can we just make it not a draft and get reviewers to vet it? I could ask that.
What is the linting failing on?
Details. I don't know. Does it always fail? Seems like did not go well. Turns out all of our structs are undefined, which is probably a problem.
If you follow the RFC mentioning, I think they mentioned that this is ready for there is above the failing checks.
There's a PR in the commit,
PR.
I believe.
Yeah, if you go back, there is the pinball. Yeah, that, yeah. If you go down to the bottom, I think that KO will create an initial indentation.
I mean, I looked at the number of files they changed. That's preliminary feedback. I say change it from draft. Like, I don't know, like seems like not being a draft doesn't seem harmful.
Yeah.
And if he makes that change, you know, in the next couple days, I'll just add the reviewers to it.
Yep.
Discard that.
I wanted to say that
quickly.
Oh, no.
Looks much better.
You wanted to say what?
There is a pattern when you moderate the meetings, the board is clean afterwards.
That's right. Especially just add more filters.
Yes.
Does anybody have anything else? All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
See you guys next week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you.